Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. We have always assumed that an alien invasion would be violent. We imagine lasers, explosions, and cities turning to ash. We prepare our armies and build our bunkers. But what if the invading aliens are not chaotic monsters? What if they are a highly civilized, highly bureaucratic society that follows the galactic code of conduct to the letter? And what if, instead of fighting them with guns, we fought them with the single most soul-crushing force on Earth? Today's story is about the day the Zorgon Imperial fleet arrived in Washington, D.C., ready to subjugate humanity. They expected a war. Instead, they walked into the Department of Planetary Submission. And they learned very quickly that you can shoot a soldier but you cannot shoot a regulation. If you have ever felt your soul leave your body while waiting in line at the DMV, hit that like button. You are a veteran of this war. And if you want to see a galaxy-conquering warlord cry because he forgot to bring 2 forms of ID, subscribe and turn on notifications. Please have your confirmation number ready. The sky over Washington, D.C. turned black on a Tuesday morning. It wasn't a storm. It was the shadow of the Hand of Dominance, a super dreadnought-class flagship belonging to the Zorgon Empire. The Zorgons were the masters of the Orion Arm. They had conquered 400 worlds, not just through brute force, but through the rigorous application of galactic law. To a Zorgon, a conquest was not valid unless the proper protocols were followed, the treaties were signed, and the transfer of ownership was legally recognized by the Universal Court. They were bureaucrats with disintegration cannons. High Warlord Crox descended from the sky in a golden gravity lift. He stood 8 feet tall, encased in armor forged from the heart of a dying star. His plasma rifle hummed with the power to vaporize a tank. Behind him marched a legion of elite shock notaries, carrying both weapons and briefcases. Crox landed on the lawn of the White House. He expected tanks. He expected jets. He expected the primitive humans to scream and beg. Instead, he found a small folding table set up on the grass. Behind the table sat a middle-aged woman named Brenda. She wore a beige cardigan, reading glasses on a chain, and she was currently eating a yogurt. Crox stomped up to the table, his shadow engulfing her. "Creature of Earth." Crox bellowed, his voice amplified to deafening levels. "I am Warlord Crox, Scourge of the 7 Sectors. I am here to claim this mudball in the name of the Zorgon Empire. Kneel and sign the Treaty of Absolute Surrender, or be incinerated." Brenda licked the lid of her yogurt. She didn't look up. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked flatly. Crox paused. His combat computer tried to process the question and failed. "Appointment? I am a conqueror. I do not make appointments. I take what I desire." Brenda sighed, finally looking up over her spectacles. "Look, Han, I don't care if you're the Scourge of the 7 Sectors or the King of England. If you want to file a planetary subjugation request, you need to follow procedure. We're backed up until Thursday." Crox growled. He raised his plasma rifle. "I will burn this city to the ground." "You could do that," Brenda said, completely unimpressed. "But if you destroy the administrative center, you can't file the Form 88C. And without an 88C, the Galactic Council won't recognize your claim. You'll just be a squatter. And I know the Zorgons hate squatters." Crox lowered his rifle. She was right. The Zorgon Code clearly stated that an undocumented conquest was illegal. It would ruin his credit score. "Fine," Crox hissed. "Where do I file this?" "Form 88C. Department of Planetary Submission." Brenda pointed to a gray concrete building down the street. "Window 4. Take a number." Crox signaled his legion. They marched to the building. They kicked open the doors, ready to intimidate the clerks. Inside, the air was stale. The fluorescent lights buzzed with a headache-inducing frequency. A digital sign on the wall read, "Now serving, 42." Crox walked to the ticket machine. He tore off a number. 9,400. He stared at the ticket. He stared at the screen. "There are only 3 humans in this room," Crox roared. "Why is the number so high?" "System glitch," a voice mumbled from behind a glass partition. "Please take a seat." The warlord sat in a plastic chair. It was too small for his battle armor. He waited. 10 minutes passed. An hour. The screen clicked to 43. "This is intolerable," Crox shouted, standing up. "I demand to see the manager." "Manager is on lunch," the clerk said without looking up from his solitaire game. "Back in an hour. I will disintegrate you." "Sir, verbal abuse of government employees is a Class B misdemeanor and will result in your application being moved to the bottom of the pile. Do you want to start over?" Crox sat down. He was shaking with rage. But he was a lawful evil. He couldn't break the rules. 3 days passed. The Zorgon fleet remained in orbit, weapons charged, waiting for the order to fire. But the order never came. Because Warlord Crocs was still in the waiting room. He had run out of rations. He was forced to eat stale donuts from the vending machine. Finally, the screen flashed. 9,400. Crocs leaped to his feet. He marched to window 4. I am here. He triumphantly slammed his fist on the counter. Process my conquest. The clerk, a man named Gary who looked like he hadn't slept since the 90s, slowly picked up Crocs's form. He looked at it. He squinted. Then he grabbed a red stamp. Ketchup. Rejected. What? Crocs screamed. What? It is filled out in the blood of my enemies. It is perfect. You used the blue form, Gary said monotonously. This is a Class 3 conquest involving a sentient species. You need the pink form, the 12B. Also, you didn't get this notarized. Notarized? Crocs felt a vein in his forehead pulse. I am the supreme authority. My word is law. Yeah, but you need a witness with a stamp, Gary said. Also, you didn't attach a copy of your fleet's emissions test. Environmental regulations. We can't let you conquer Earth if your death rays aren't carbon neutral. This is madness. Crocs yelled. I have a fleet that can blot out the sun. And they are idling in orbit, Gary noted. That's a parking violation. I'm gonna have to write you a ticket for every ship. That's, let's see, for $1 million in fines. Crocs fell to his knees. He had conquered warrior races. He had defeated psychic hive minds. But he had no defense against this. This weaponized apathy. This labyrinth of red tape. Just, give me the pink form, Crocs whispered, defeated. And where is the notary? Basement, Gary said. Stairs are out. Elevator is broken. Also, they close in 10 minutes. Crocs ran. The massive warlord, encumbered by heavy armor, sprinted down the stairs. He burst into the basement office. Notary, he gasped. I need a stamp. The notary, an elderly woman slowly packing her bag, looked at the clock on the wall. It was 5:01 p.m. Sorry, Han, she smiled sweetly. We're closed. Come back tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I will give you a planet. Crocs begged. I will give you a star system. Just stamp the paper. I can't working off the clock, she said, turning off the lights. Union rules. Crocs stood in the dark basement. He realized then that he could never win. If he invaded, he would be tied up in zoning laws. If he enslaved the population, he would be sued for workplace safety violations. If he destroyed the planet, he would never get his parking deposit back. He walked back up the stairs. He walked out of the building. He looked at his waiting legion. Commander, his lieutenant asked, shall we commence the orbital bombardment? No, Crocs said, his voice hollow. Retreat. We are leaving. Sir? But the humans are weak. We can take them. They are not weak, Crocs shuddered. They have weaponized boredom. They have built a fortress of paper that no laser can penetrate. If we stay here, we will die of old age waiting for a permit to fire our guns. Set course for the Nebulan system. The inhabitants there just shoot at you. It is simpler. The Zorgon fleet departed. They never returned. On Earth, life went on. The government declared a victory day, but nobody got the day off because the paperwork for the holiday wasn't filed in time. Brenda and Gary received medals, which they promptly filed in a cabinet and lost. Humanity had survived the greatest threat in the galaxy, not because we were brave, but because we were incredibly, painfully annoying. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. We often complain about bureaucracy, but maybe, just maybe, it's the ultimate planetary defense shield. If you have ever been rejected because you filled out the wrong form, hit that like button. You are a survivor. Comment below. What is the most ridiculous bureaucratic hoop you've ever had to jump through? Subscribe. And please remember to fill out your subscription confirmation form in triplicate. Next number, 9401.